Today, we're going to talk about candy canes. And there are all kinds of canes. There are sour canes, there are sweet canes, there are canes that come domestically as well as those that come from abroad. Canes that may be small and canes that may be big and striped. But in today's episode, we're going to talk specifically about the Gilbert Engineering 150 node candy cane. And the one we're doing for our display this year is the Impressions style. We thought it would be nice to add a little bit of color to our display. So in this video, we're going to take you through the process of putting all the pixels in. No, not really. You know how to do that. But we are going to show you the mounting that we had to do for this, as well as what it costs to put the whole project together, how to model it in Xlights, and a few tips that we learned along the way that really are important when it comes to modeling candy canes that face to the left and to the right in your display. So with that, let's go ahead and jump to the intro. All right, everybody, welcome to our office where we are now going to take you through the process of all the different pieces that we needed to get to put this together, what the total cost was to make one, and then we're going to jump into Xlights and show you what the model looks like in Xlights and a little tip on how to flip it so you have some facing left and right, which we were not aware of how to do that until somebody from the community showed us. So we want to pass that tip on to you, especially for a lot of the new people out there, and share that with you. As always, this is not a sponsored video. These are videos are made from products that we have purchased with our own money that we're going to be putting in our display. And we just thought we would share this, especially with a lot of the new people out there, to maybe help them see how things are, how they work, and help them make a decision if it's something they want to add to their particular show. We are going to have a contest, though, like we always do on this video. And while the prize technically isn't a sponsored prize, it was given to us. We want to thank Roger, who gave us a $50 gift certificate for the Christmas Light Emporium. It was one that he won at the Christmas Expo and said that he wasn't going to have a use for us, and asked that if we could give this away to one of the people in the community who watches our videos. So thank you, Roger, for that gift certificate. I'm sure someone will enjoy shopping at the Christmas Light Emporium and spending that money as quickly as they possibly can. And we'll have the full description not only for the contest down below in the main description of the video, but also at the end of the video, we will talk about what you need to do. Typically, you have to be a subscriber, you have to like the video, and you have to comment a certain way. And we'll tell you how to do that at the end. So with that, let's just go ahead and jump in and show you what we were going to do. And we got the impression version of the candy cane from Gilbert Engineering because we thought we would add finally a little bit of color to our show. All of our cars either white or black. And we thought it would be kind of cool. And it wasn't that much more because we're only doing the 3-foot cane. So we went for the difference was between $12.50 and $17.50. So it was an extra $5 to add a little bit of pop per candy cane to our display. And we're going to do 4 of those. So overall, it added $20 to our overall cost to add these to our display. And that's why we decided to go that way. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the prop itself. And it comes in 3 sizes, and you can get impression versions as well as the wider black coral, the plain versions if you choose to. The 3-foot and 5-foot ones both have 150 pixels in them. And they also have a 7.4-foot version, which has 760 pixels in it, and I think would be really cool to use in place of a pixel pole. If you have those in your yard, or you were going to hide pillars on your porch, they would be really cool, about the right height, 7.4 inches. And they really looked impressive. And I'll probably bring up a picture of that just so you can see what they look like, the big ones there. Pretty cool product to have in your display. That is a huge monster of a candy cane if you wanted to do something like that. But back to what we're doing. We're doing the 3-foot. That's all we are going to do. And like I said, it's $17.50 to get the one with the color, $12.50 without. The 5-foot one is $60 or $35 plain white, and the 7.4 is $95 or $65 in plain white or black. So that's something that you need to think of. If you can also have have them numbered or have no holes, those are some different versions that you have for light types if you want. It doesn't change the price. Maybe you just want that for a prop, but with no light. So that's something you could have them build for you too. They have no problem doing that. But after that, so the total cost for one that we're going to do, and we didn't do the red one necessarily. They have 3 styles. You got red, They've got green and white, and then they have the red and green, which is what we got. We can see it behind us back there, and we thought it was kind of a cool addition. So that is what we picked for the prop. As far as lights go for this prop, we got all of our lights early in the year, so it's not going to cost you. It's going to cost you a lot more now if you don't have your lights yet. So if you were to buy your lights today at the filming of this video, it would run you about $43.50 to get 150 lights for this particular prop. And that's another reason to why we always recommend when you buy your lights, get the bulk on hundreds, but pick up some 50s and maybe even some 25s if the vendor sells them. It really helps when you're doing models for this. We're taking a strand of 50 and a strand of 100, and boom, it's a nice even number to put this prop together. The next thing we had to think about was mounting. And typically we thought, just like we did with a lot of our other props, it's just going to put some PVC on the back, zip tie it, and we'll run rebarb down through it, and we're good to go. And after we got the prop back and got it pixels all pushed and tried to put some EMT or half-inch EMT between the pixels, we realized it wouldn't work. And we'll show you why when we get to the workbench part and show you things up close. So we scratched our head a little bit and we thought, well, maybe Doug at Inspire Light Show has mounts. He's got a lot of mounts, and sure enough, he actually had a mount for the Gilbert Engineering candy cane. So thank you, Doug, for creating that for the community and making it available for us. And so that's what we used. And to get the top plate, you can see up there, it's $7.95 to get the top plate. And he also has a footer plate. Let's see if I can get a picture of that one. There it is right here. There's the base one. And that one is $9.95 if you want the base. So he's got both the top and the base plate that you can have him print for you. $7.95 for the top, and like I said, $9.95 for the bottom to get the whole thing done. He also sells the STL file. So if you have your own 3D printer, you can buy the plans for both the top piece and the base for $12, which will save you a little bit of money depending on how many you have. But keep in mind, there are costs involved: electricity, cost of materials, wear and tear on your printer, time of use. If it's going to be all tied up, for me, just to print the brackets for one candy cane was 15 hours. So it tied up basically my printer for a whole day for each candy cane. So if you got the time, great. If you're doing a ton of them, you may want to have Doug print them all for you in his farm and get them out to you real quick. He's got great customer service, and I've never had a problem getting things shipped out to me. So those are some options when it comes to that. And the final piece you're going to need for this whole project is you're going to need a piece of EMT. That'll run you about $4. And you can get two sections, maybe three out of that, depending on the length you get. My hardware store sells 5-foot lengths. They were out of 10, so we got a couple of 5-foot lengths and can get 2 candy canes out of each 5-foot length. So the overall cost for everything all together, I'm going to put a little picture of it all up here right next to me. As you can see, is $82.90 to make one candy cane for your yard. So that's the overall cost. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into Xlights, and we will show you the whole process in Xlights. So now we're over here in Xlights, and you're not going to want to go to the native model and create it, because it's not going to be the same, because it's going to look like this. It's just not there for you. You actually want to go and download the custom model. So let's get rid of that. And we want a custom, so we're going to go to the download and click on the screen, and it's going to open up the little box. Let's just pick our map, and we're going to go to the Gilbert Engineering candy canes, and we're going to do the 150 node, and we're going to insert the model right there, and that's going to be our model right there. And let's just do a second one, because we want to have 2 candy canes here. So we got our 2 candy canes. The reason I do this for a couple of reasons. I want to show you how you can make this one go from right to left. And normally you think, oh, I can just grab this and drag it over. Nope, it's a custom model. You can't do that with this. You actually have to go in and click on the model data line over here where it says click to edit. And that's going to bring up the model. And then you're going to right click on the grid and click flip vertically. I mean, not vertically, sorry. Let's flip that back. Flip horizontal. And you'll click OK, and now you'll see that our candy cane has flipped. And the wiring diagram, for those of you who don't know where it is, again, it's right there, and you'll see that starts on the inside and goes all the way up and then back down, and it's a back and forth. Nothing that you really need to draw out. Pretty simple one, but it's going to be the same on both, even though we flipped it. If we go to the other one and right click on it, highlight it and right click and look at the wiring view, it's going to be the same thing. One on the inside. So we're going to start on the inside. So that is the wiring view. One other issue, though, that you're going to have when you have right and left facing candy canes, which I found out just today, as a matter of fact, is if you have them at the group level and you're mapping sequences or creating sequences at the group level, you're going to find that things look a little bit wonky. And I want to give a shout out to Paul Irwin from Irwin Family Lights, who posted the solution in one of the chat message boards that I belong to. And so thank you very much again, Paul, for the solution to this. And it was very simple, because if you see here, I've created just some images so you can see it. The bottom four are 4 in one group, which is what I had, and they look kind of wonky. And Paul told me that because you have 2 left, 2 right, and we tried to change the render styles, and that didn't fix anything. We went through them all, but Paul created 2 groups: all the candy canes that face left, all the candy canes that face right in their own group, and you would drop the same mapping on it. As you can see, the mapping's identical for both, but then you would come into one of the groups, whether it's the right or the left group, you would highlight everything, and then you would right click on transformation and hit bulk edit and click flip horizontally, which would then flip it again the other direction. And now you'll see that the 4 right here above the 4 below are now doing the same pattern the same way, unlike the 4 down below that aren't. So that is the fix for that, and something to keep in mind if you have, because you may want to have candy canes on either side of your driveway facing the opposite direction, and this will keep everything looking and flowing the same. So with that, now let's go ahead and jump back over to the workbench, and we'll go through putting the mounts on and all the different little things that have to go with that. All right, here's the big exception to the rule that I was not aware of at the time of originally putting all of this video together. And that's after playing around and re-rendering all of my sequences with this new bulk edit transformation that we did, changing them to flip horizontal. It actually screwed up a few things because the sequence already had other transformation styles in it. So that's one thing to double check. So when you're going through, click on it and see if anything in the transformation area is something else other than none. If it is none, you're good to go. And for the most part, everything is none, but every now and then you'll come across something like right there. He has it flipped horizontal. And so if I made them both flip horizontal on the bottom, that would look kind of weird. So you have to go back through, which I had to do, and anything like here that was flip horizontal, I then had to go down below and click and make it to none, the opposite. That's only on the horizontal aspect you need to do that. Anything else that may have been above, and I had a few, not this particular song, where the transformation was at counterclockwise 90. I had to then go find the same one in the right side and change it back to counterclockwise 90. And after I did that, everything was perfect. So that's the exception to the rule at this point, at the time of this video. If something else comes down the road, please make sure you put it in the comments, and we'll try to pin it to the top so people are aware of that. But with that now, truly, we can go back to the workbench. And okay, guys, here we are on the workbench, and we'll kind of show you what we were talking about as far as not really being able to get a pipe between the pixels. We thought, well, we could still maybe zip tie it, but then it's going to apply pressure, which could push the pixels all the way through the Coro. I mean, you could do it loosely and still do, maybe one in this row and one in this row, but we thought we would do it the right way with some mounts, because these are going to sit and create a column for the pipe to run through. And when we get it all together, you'll see what it looks like. And it's a pretty cool a mounting prop that Doug created over there at Inspire Light Show. So to kind of show you that process, even though it's easier to mount them once before you put the pixels in, I don't have a choice because I already put the pixels through and I printed the mounts. So here are the mounts, and it's pretty cool. This is the base mount, and the EMT goes down there, and you can put your rebarb through the EMT to hold it in place on the ground. But to keep it from turning, Doug put in a couple little lawn spike holes that you can put 2 of these through, which will then keep it from turning and hold it in place, which was a nice design thought of him to do, to keep that from happening. And then this, of course, is the one that goes further up on the body. And you can see here also he did put in its little cutouts, so the pixels do fit in very nicely because it's a very tight fit otherwise. The only thing I would recommend is to make sure you are using 4-inch spacing pixels, because when you get to this end, you actually have to take the wire up over and push the other pixel in. And if you're using some knockoffs that aren't really 4 inches and maybe like 3.5 or 3, you're probably not going to make that stretch. So something to keep in mind. So with that, how I typically do the mounting process, I would line up where I want to have them on my prop. And we've already pre-drilled this, so we don't have to go through that whole time. But a couple ways you can do it. If you take the ink cartridge out of just a cheap old pen, little clicker pen, you can then draw the circles on your prop of where you want to drill your holes. Or what I like to do is use a little poker, and I actually poke a little hole which starts the whole process, so that when I come by and use my drill to drill through, it's already got a little dent in it that the drill bit will cling to and shoot right through the Coro. And you want to make sure that your drill bit you're using is one that fits good for the hole, not one that's too big or too small. So always test that out ahead of time, which is a good thing to do. So with that, let's go ahead and flip this over. And then we have to take out the pixels. That. So now we have to just zip tie it down, and you're just going to use your zip ties. And you'll need 6 for the bottom, and 6 for the top, and 4 for the bottom. And so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this process of getting the zip ties in, because that's a pretty familiar process for everybody. So let's just go ahead and jump to that part. One thing to remember too is when you put in your zip ties, and we talk about this in a lot of our videos, is if you want to be able to pull the tension downward to the right, you want to be able to make sure you start at the top hole, because you're going to be pulling to the bottom, and that will, otherwise you'll be pulling into this, which would be difficult. So one thing to do, because you can see it's got that natural ability to pull it the way you want it to pull. If your holes are lined up correctly. Just like that. Another thing you can use is a tool. It's called a zip tie puller. And like everything we use in our videos, we'll have descriptions, information down below in the description area, so you can see what it's all about. But this one, you just kind of put it through, like so, and it automatically grabs and it pulls, and it will tighten it till it's tight, and it will even, if you click the lever, we'll snip it off flush. So you don't have to have a separate cutter, and it is flush. There's no sharp edge sticking out. It cuts it right down to the bone, and it pulls it tight. You don't want to over tighten, but you want it tight enough so it's not loose, and sometimes it's hard to do that manually. But and then I usually, if I pull the mold myself, I will at least go around to the ones that I manually did and give them just a little, see, there's a little extra room I could snug it up. If you don't want to use one of these two, at least have a pair of clippers to clip off all of your Christmas poo, as I call it. The wife calls it, like I like to say, trash that's in her yard every year when I do a display. Christmas poo. So the next thing we have to do is just put the lights back in. You want to make sure you got the right rows for the right ones. And you can see that these ones have that little indent. Just pop them right back in, just like so. She's all back together, and as we know, we wire from the inside and then up and around, back down, etc., all the way through the process, and end back at the bottom. So both your tails will be at the top and bottom, and there are your lights back in. So now we got to do the pole for it. On the pole, we're just going to use 1/2 inch EMT. That's what these brackets were made for. So you're going to go ahead and get your EMT, like so. And let me go get my tool. You're going to mark it where you want it. So you're going to line it up at the bottom. And I like to have it stick up just a little bit about the top, above the top. And mark where we want to cut it. And then it's just a matter of getting one of these tools, an awesome tool for cutting EMT if you don't have a fancy metal cutter, which I don't. I don't have a big workshop. This is my workshop right here. So just going to line it up. It's just a matter of turning it around the pipe. As it gets slack, then you take and turn the handle and tighten it up a little bit more. And you just keep doing that process all the way through, and eventually you are going to cut all the way through this pipe without needing anything special. Just a little bit of hand strength. I don't recommend gloves so much on this because it's good to have a good grip with your hands. Gloves tend to slide on the pipe. And there we go. Pipe is cut. It's also got a tool, so you can scrape down the rough edges of it, like so. And then we're going to take this pipe and put it all the way through, starting at the bottom. And there we have it. There's our pipe all the way through. So now we're going to go get some screws and we're going to firmly attach it. And I'm going to go get my drill bit. So just a little hammer drill. And you want to get some metal screws. The kind that kind of just self-drill right in, which is perfect for this. Now we are all done with our pole. And we'll show you kind of what it all looks like lit up next. That will be the final piece of our little puzzle. Well, that's going to do it for this video, folks. Hopefully, you got enough information out of it that will help you make that decision as to whether or not you'd like to include a prop like this in your display this holiday season. It's a pretty cool prop. We think the impression part with the color on it is going to add a little different dimension to our display this year, so that's why we're excited about showcasing it to you. Again, we want to remind you also about the contest that we've got going on right now. It's a real simple contest to enter, and the full description is going to be down below in the description. But basically, you need to like the video, you need to be one of our subscribers, and then we want you to put in the comments, when you comment, what's your favorite sweet for the holiday season, and what would you do with a $50 gift certificate? Pretty simple way to enter our contest. We've got one more build video coming out before we wrap up our build videos this year, and that's going to be for our mega tree, which is going to be 3,200 lights, featuring a lot of the products from the Matos Sasquatch kit that we're going to use to put this new tree together, and that should be out here shortly within a couple of weeks. As always, we want to thank you for coming by. And remember, if you aren't one of our subscribers, you just have to click that subscribe button right there. Here's a couple other videos, too, that may help some of you new people just coming into our hobby. And thank you so much for stopping by. We hope you guys have a very happy holiday season and keep lighting up those lives around you.